That's the correct time on the bottom right of the screen?
Yep.
All right,
As soon as I hit 7:30, I'll unmute.
all right.
I'm so nervous.
Sound like a well-oiled machine. It really is.
Yeah, as long as there's no squeaks.
There might be.
Yeah. We're not rookies at this anymore. We've gone through the,
Well, right out of the gates, you've done a great job.
well, thank you.
It's all yours.
All right, great, thank you so much. All right, seeing that it is now 7:30, we'll go ahead and we'll start our remote meeting of the Skokie Zoning Board of Appeals. At first, before we proceed, I'd like to read this statement concerning the recent situations that we're in and how they reflect upon this board. So, until further notice, meetings of the Skokie Zoning Board of Appeals will be held electronically with the majority of ZBA members participating via remote access in order to comply with the State of Illinois stay-at-home order. Members of the public who wish to comment as to an item on the published legal notice must submit their statement or question in writing to the village manager's office no later than noon on the day of the scheduled meeting, and all properly submitted statements or questions will be presented and read during the relevant portion of the meeting. Written comments may be submitted by email to citizencomments@skokie.org or by mail to the Village of Skokie, Village Manager's Office, 5127 Oakton Street, Skokie, Illinois, 60077. The meeting may also be viewed on Skokie Vision cable channels number 17, which is on Comcast, or number 25, which is through the RCN, or via the village website. Okay, so now that we have that pertinent information out of the way, I would like to welcome everyone to this meeting of the Village of Skokie Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals is created by the statutes of the state of Illinois and by the ordinances of the Village of Skokie for the purpose of granting proper case relief from the strict terms of our zoning ordinances. The decision of this board to either grant or deny relief will be based upon the evidence presented to it and how that evidence is related to the standards for granting relief. All persons who have an interest in a case, either as a petitioner or as a member of the public, either supporting or opposing the petition, or as an independent witness, will be given a chance to speak on the record and to express his or her points of view. The Zoning Board of Appeals is not a court of law, and therefore we do not follow the strict rules of evidence. However, this hearing will be conducted in such a manner as to hear only competent evidence or statements. Questions as to procedure, interpretation, and of the admissibility of statements or evidence will be ruled upon by Corporation Counsel Tyler Kabilski, and his legal decisions will be binding upon this board. Certain cases require a covenant running with the land. This will be prepared and recorded by the Village of Skokie Legal Department, and this is done at the petitioner's expense. Whether or not a covenant is required is a determination to be made by the Corporation Counsel at the conclusion of each individual case. If a covenant running with the land is required, it cannot or will not be prepared until our court reporter has returned to the Zoning Board of Appeals a transcript of these proceedings. The Village of Skokie will notify each petitioner when the covenant has been prepared and is ready for signature. No building permits or certificates of occupancy can be issued until the covenant is signed by the petitioner. Should a petition for variation be denied, or should a covenant not be required, the Board of Trustees will authorize a refund of any required fees. Should it be necessary for the petitioner to request a continuance due to lack of preparation, a case continuation fee of 1/2 of the original application fee is due prior to the rehearing date. This request must be made before any testimony begins. Okay, all petitioners must receive a vote of the majority of the zoning board present in order to decide any matter under consideration. Our full complement is 9 members, and tonight's complement is...
Alex Franz.
No, I know, Alex. Tonight's complement, we have everybody present and accounted for, correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay, because I can't tell from being on the dais, all I can see is Elaine Jacobson. So, okay, so tonight's complement is a full complement of 9 members, making 5 votes necessary to make a determination on a petition. Okay. All right, tonight we have 2 cases, which is a rarity on itself, but be that as it may. We have two cases, 2020-03Z, 4819 Main Street, that will be presented by Commissioner Shah, and 2020-04Z, 8550 Hamlin Avenue, which will be presented by Commissioner Arden. In both of these cases, I will ask Corporation Counsel, has proper notice been served and notarized?
Yes, notice is proper and correct in both cases.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tyler. Okay, so before we go into the presentation of 2020-03Z, in our packet, we have, either in paper or electronically, we have the meeting from the minutes from our last meeting, which was August 5th, 2020. And we heard the 2020-02Z, 7019 Laurel Avenue, which was approved unanimously, and that was the only business of that evening. So, that being said, the chair will entertain a motion for the minutes to be approved as is.
I make a motion
Yeah.
that the minutes be approved as is.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Jacobson. Do I hear a second to approve the minutes? Hello out there.
Second.
Thank you, Alan. So we have a second to approve the minutes as is. All in favor, voice vote, please.
Aye. Aye.
Yes. I'm going to guess that was 9 people, so minutes passed. Thank you, Marlene, as always. Okay. Okay, so we're done with that. Okay. All right, so we'll go right into it. Let's see. So we got 2020-03Z. Is the petitioner present in this case?
Yes, this is Simon Enwia from Flawless Homes. Good evening.
Yeah, hi, good evening, Simon. Could you tell, before I have Commissioner Shah present your case, could you tell us, again, tell us your name, Simon, and spell it so we may have it for the record?
Yes, so my name is Simon Enwia, SIMON-ENWIA, and I'm the CEO of Flawless Homes in Skokie.
All right, great. All right, thank you, Simon. I'm going to ask you straight out to begin with. I'm going to swear you in. So do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge or belief? Please answer in the affirmative.
I do.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, that being said, we'll go ahead and have Commissioner Shah present your case, 2020-03Z. You ready, Mike?
Yes, Van, thank you.
Okay, floor is yours.
Case 2020-03Z, 4819 Main Street. Flawless Home LLC requests a variation in order to develop second floor apartment with non-conforming parking space depth of 17 feet 4 inch for 2 parking space rather than require 18 feet depth as required by section 118-212A1 of the zoning chapter of the Skokie Village Code in a CX4 mixed-use zoning district. Now I'd like to read the petitioner's statement. Dear Board Appeal, as you may be aware, Flawless Home currently owns and is developing second floor modern apartment at 4819 Main Street, the existing design center, showroom, and office which was constructed in partnership with Village of Skokie Economic Development Division TIF grant. The site is zoned CX and we are requesting a relief for the following variants, section 118-212. So we may add apartment to the second floor. Section 118-212 parking spaces are required to have certain dimension per table, including a depth of 18 feet and backing space of 4 feet. The blade sign will correct the following issues that are not caused by the property owner. Topographical and physical features are unique to the property as it is a lot line building with 5 existing parking spots and large alley behind it in the CX zone corridor. Without a variance, the apartment cannot be added because of the non-conforming dimension of the existing parking spot. So there can be no reasonable use of the property as intended, and the property taxes are too high for its current use as standalone. The request is not solely based on economic reason. The variance will allow existing parking spot to be used appropriately for mixed-use property to match both neighbors to the west and overall goal of the CX high-density corridor, as well as providing a much-needed shortage in the living space in Skokie. The subject site is unique due to its pitch, elevation, location, and structure type. The above petition will not cause harm to the public health, safety, or welfare. Furthermore, the variance is based on approving already used parking spots that are non-conforming to dimension that will elevate the shortage of housing in Skokie and make the area more viable, not solely on economic reason. Due to the pitch and elevation of the building on the slope of Main Street in the CX zone corridor, this will in effect bolster what the municipality has set forth in this area by zoning code. Section 1881 purpose. The CX core mixed use district is intended for areas close to rapid transit hubs and employment center. Buildings shall be designed to promote walking and have pedestrian orientation with the curb cuts on retail streets strongly discouraged. Ground floor uses on a retail street must be reserved for retail or other service use open to customer. Upper story uses may be other commercial uses or residence. Taller building up to 156 feet in height are encouraged and shall have minimum of 2 usable floors of building along retail street. Entire block shall be zone CX where possible to increase opportunity for pedestrian oriented site and building design conveniently located, public parking and open space. And signed by Simon Ingwer. I also like to read couple more report from Traffic Engineering Division and Community Development Department for the record.
Sure, Mike, go ahead.
All right, so the Traffic Engineering Division report the parking requirement for residential unit is met. Community Development Department, the petitioner is proposing to construct a second floor addition that will contain 4 resident units. A required staircase in the rear yard will also be installed as well as 5 parking spaces. 2 of the parking spaces abutting the rear staircase will have stall depth of 17 feet 4 inches rather than 18 foot required minimum. The petitioner will also be dedicating 2 feet of their property to widen the public alley. In order to build the second floor residence, a rear exit is required. The rear exit cannot be built in another location. The petitioner is also dedicating 2 feet of land to widen the public alley to make it easier for vehicles to drive through the alley and back out into the alley. If the alley dedication was not required, the parking space depth would be met. The proposed 17 feet 4 inch deep space along with 2 foot dedication and the 16 foot wide alley should not be injurious to health, safety, or welfare. That's all I have. Back to you, Brian.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Mike. Let you catch your breath there. That was a lot of things to talk about. So let's talk to the petitioner and get his viewpoints on his request here. Simon, you with us?
Yes, I am.
All
Thank
right,
you.
great, Simon. You want to tell us why we're all here, either in the council chambers tonight or showing up via Zoom?
Of course, yeah. I'd like to thank the council members. Councilman Shaw, thank you for reading that, and then also to thank the staff at the Village of Skokie for going through and looking at all these items that we're looking at here. So essentially, the goal is to build second floor apartments on top of our existing commercial retail center. We feel that it's the best use for the property. Obviously, it would bring up the property. It would create more housing in the area, and our neighbors have apartments on the second floor. It works really well for them, and we feel that it would work really well for us. It would obviously change the property to a mixed-use property, but being in the construction and design and real estate business, in Skokie. We are also making these nice modern apartments. We're going to give them the very best touches to highlight our work and also highlight the area.
All right, great. So going to have marble countertops and all that good stuff?
Quartz, but close, yeah.
All right, great. All right, sounds intriguing. Let's get Commissioner Shah back online here and ask Mike's impression of the request.
Sure, I will summarize and give my assessment about the case. If someone else missed while I was reading the petitioner's statement or this community development report. The building was constructed in 1957 and Flawless Homes has occupied the first floor since 2017. They have a 4 parking space in the back and a loading dock. During my several visits to the location, most of the time there was a parking available in the back. There is a more parking in the front of the store and also parking available half a block west of the location. It's by the railway track. The petitioner will give away those 2 feet in order to widen the public alley, so it will be easy for vehicle to in and out of the alley. So if you add those 2 feet, the parking space that would be met because it's only 6 inches short and they're giving away the 2 feet to widen the alley. It'd be easy for the vehicle to coming in and out of the alley, going through the alley. So if you add those parking space, that will, would be met,
Right.
So I don't see any issue here.
All right, great.
But it's a plenty parking available. Like I said, a half a block from the location. There's more parking, 90 minutes parking available in the front. So I just want to make a comment, despite this difficult time of COVID-19, this petitioner planning to develop second floor is good for the community and for the village, in my opinion.
Yeah, no question. It's a very welcome thing to see, obviously. Is there any other questions that, for our petitioner that anyone might have? I hear a lot of silence. How about you, Elaine? You got anything to say? No? Okay. Matt, is there any comments that have come in over the website?
No,
Citizen comments? Citizen comments at skokie.org?
that's right. No
Okay.
additional comments.
Okay, no additional comments? Okay, all right, Simon, do you have anything else you'd like to close with, or?
I did actually get some of my neighbors come and say it was a great idea, and if we could help them develop their properties to be better suited, potentially to look at their properties to see if we're able to add any second floor or third floor additions to their property. So it was, obviously we have to send a letter out to all the owners within 250 feet. So it was very positive. And another neighbor came and said, if you see our building and it starts looking a lot like yours, it's because we're copying you. But I said, no problem. But yeah, no other comments. So, we're happy to be here. I live in Skokie. I work in Skokie. We invest a lot in Skokie, and we want to continue doing that.
Yeah, thank you. That area of Main Street between Skokie Boulevard and Niles Center Road there, that's really popping up. We got Sketchbook, we have the animal shelter that I know that Alan's very involved with, and the architectural firm. So it'd be nice to see a little extra development in that area between Skokie Boulevard and Niles Center Road. So that's a nice thing to see. So, okay, well, if there's no other comments or questions for the petitioner, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to grant a variance. Mr. Chairman, I propose the following in the granting of the variance to the petitioner as follows. That Flawless Home LLC is the owner of the lot described in a case number 2020-03Z for the property located at 4819 Main Street, Skokie, Cook County, Illinois. That said lot is plotted lot of record and is abutted by building sites on the north-south, that a determination has been made in which the petitioner request is consistent with the majority of the finding, in fact, as stated in the Village of Skokie zoning chapter. I therefore propose that variance be granted to the petitioner for giving failure to comply with the requirement of the zoning ordinance of the Village of Skokie as amended, off-street parking and loading requirement. That the petitioner be granted the variance to Flawless Home LLC, request a variation in order to develop second floor apartment with a non-conforming parking space depth of 17 feet 4 inch for 2 parking space rather than require 18 feet depth as required by section 118-212A1 of the zoning chapter of the Skokie Village Code in a CX core mixed-use zoning district. That all other codes and ordinance of the Village of Skokie shall be fully and strictly complied with.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mike. We have a motion to grant without conditions. Do we hear a second? Don't everybody speak at once.
I second it.
Okay, all right.
Second.
It's a good thing I have Commissioner Jacobson here, because then she could jump in right away on this kind of stuff. Okay, so seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. The chair will go ahead and call the roll, so will everybody be on their toes, and we'll start with Commissioner Solovey.
Aye.
Thank you, David. Commissioner Arden? Sean, you on?
Yes.
Yes, okay, I heard a yes. Okay. Commissioner Kirkpatrick?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Commissioner Jacobson?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Commissioner Gersner?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Shaw?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Heido? Billy? Yeah, okay, good. Thank you. I saw the thumb up. I can't hear you for some reason. So, yeah, you're good. Okay. Commissioner Perlin?
Yes.
Okay. And the chair will vote aye. So in the case of 2020-03Z, the petitioner's request has been granted unanimously without conditions. Corporation Counsel, what does the petitioner need to know from here on out?
Sure, we'll prepare the covenant agreement with the land. It should be ready for the property owner's signature in about 3 weeks. So we'll notify him when it's ready.
Okay, great. All right, Jed, you got that, Simon?
Yep, thank you very much. Good
Okay,
evening.
yeah, good luck with your project. I'm interested to see how it turns out.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, all right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that was good. All right, we'll go ahead then right away and move on to our second case, which is 2020-04Z. That's going to be presented to, by Commissioner Arden. Do I have the petitioner here for 2020-04Z?
I'm here.
Is that Mr. Posner?
That's me, and my daughter's with me here as well.
Oh, okay, all right, very good. Okay, great. Mr. Posner, you're the petitioner of record on this, I believe, so could you spell your name so that we may have it for the record here?
Sure. My first name is Yochanan, and my last name is Posner.
Great, okay, thank you so much. I'm going to swear you in here, Mr. Posner. So do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge or belief? Please answer in the affirmative.
I do.
All right, great, thank you so much. Okay, now that little bit is out of the way, we have Commissioner Arden on the line.
Yes.
All right, Sean, go ahead and, there's one thing I want to say, Sean, before you begin that may help expedite this case a little bit, and this is something that I've discussed with Mr. Brandmeier and Tyler. I'm going to ask your guidance on this too. We have 7 statements from people that were served notice on this, and all 7 statements were in favor of the petitioner's request. Can we go, and since all of these statements will be on file with the Community Development Department, is it okay just to say basically that these statements are, you know, on the record with community development, and we can forego Commissioner Arden over exercising his vocal cords at this point?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that we just put on the record that they were all in support, like you just did.
Okay,
Perhaps when he's done presenting, I can just go through and just highlight some of the reasons as to why, without being too verbose.
okay. All right, good. All right, that being said, Sean, would you like to go ahead and move forward with the presenting of the case?
Yep.
Okay,
So the petitioner is requesting a variation in order to continue a one off-street parking space rather than provide the minimum 2 required off-street parking spaces when the number of bedrooms increases on the site due to an addition as required by section 118-2012 and 118-2181C of the zoning chapter of the Skokie Village Code in an R2 single-family zoning district. I'll now read the petitioner's statement. We hereby request a variance for the requirement for an additional parking space in connection with the additional bedroom. Although often constructed of an additional bedroom does not create a need for additional parking, we believe that an extra parking space is unnecessary for this particular property. This property possesses a unique characteristic which is not typical of most other residential properties. In addition to the driveway and garage, there is an unusual abundance of street parking available on this property's block because only 2 houses on this block face the street. All of the other houses on the block are corner lots which face the other streets, and they typically only utilize street parking in front of their houses, if they park on the street at all, as they all have their own driveways and garages. This leaves a lot of available street parking on this block. This request for variance is consistent with the particular physical features of this specific property and block. Because there is so much available parking on this particular block, this request will not be injurious to public welfare at all. Reasonable use of residential property generally includes use of the backyard for leisure, gardening, recreation, children's play, etc. Paving over a significant portion of the backyard for a parking pad would decrease the green space available in the yard, make the entire yard less pleasant, will necessitate removing children's recreation equipment, and will thereby diminish the property's beauty and utility and impede reasonable use of the property. The requested variance is the minimum necessary to allow continued reasonable use of the property as a residence for a family with children. The Appearance Commission approved the request. The Traffic Engineering Division said a second parking space can be added to the site. There's ample parking on the street during daytime site visits. Community Development gave a synopsis of this. And then there's a staff recommendation here. They did not recommend this be done. I will say I visited the site at night. There was so much parking. I never seen so much on a block. And visually, it would look terrible to put a parking pad in, just aesthetically speaking. So I don't know why they would do that. There's more than enough street parking. There was probably 1 car on the street when I drove by at night. Okay. So I don't see this being any issue whatsoever.
okay. I have Commissioner Jacobson shaking her head as well.
Well-
But that being said, thanks, Sean. That was a nice presentation. Let's get back to Mr. Posner. Mr. Posner, you on the line?
I'm here.
Okay, very good, Mr. Posner. Well, would you like to tell us why we're here tonight, both in the council chambers and via Zoom?
Sure. We're here tonight in the hopes that we can get a variance to not have to put a parking space in the backyard. Backyard's a great place for my kids to play in, and they enjoy the swing set and all the toys that are back there. And a parking space would just take away from the use of the backyard for a family with children. I think that this really is a reasonable use of a backyard, to not park cars, but to play and to enjoy leisure and to do gardening and stuff like that. I think, in general, I understand the need for this particular ordinance. I've lived in New York, other places where you can't park anywhere. They build new houses with no parking. It's ridiculous. In this particular block, because all the houses face another direction, there's so much available parking, it isn't necessary to put a parking pad in the backyard. And I hope that the finding tonight is that that's indeed the case. Thank you.
All right, great. All right, thank you. Thank you for that nice presentation. Okay, does any, we've had Commissioner Arden's impressions on this. Is there any other commissioners that have comments or questions for the petitioner?
Brian, I do.
Okay, Commissioner Gersner, please.
Mr. Posner, thank you for being here tonight. In looking at your home, I noticed the driveway to the garage. That's a one-car garage, correct?
That's correct.
And you can park another car there without blocking the sidewalk. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And do you have more than 2 cars in your home?
At the moment, we have more than 2 cars, yes.
And there is parking in front of your house, is what I noticed also, correct?
Correct.
So the ordinance basically says that you need a 2-car garage or 2 parking spaces. As far as I'm concerned, if we put a parking pad there, it wouldn't look good. It wouldn't enhance the neighborhood. There is enough space there, and we have done this before, Mr. Chairman, when it didn't fit in the area. So I have no objection to it.
All right, very good. Yeah, thank you, Alan. Very good. Any other comments or questions for Mr. Posner at all? Oh, Commissioner Jacobson.
Yes, I went there, and it was in the late afternoon. There wasn't a car around. Very, very short street and a dead end. So I have no objections either.
No objection. Okay, great. Okay, well, I think so far there's 2 yes votes. Any other, anybody else that would like to comment on this case? I will ask Mr. Brandmeier, has anybody popped up via the citizen comments at skokie.org?
There are no additional comments.
There are no additional comments, okay. All right, great. Anything you'd like to close up with, Mr. Posner? Again, I've mentioned before that you had 7 of your neighbors come out in favor of your request, which says a lot about the relationships that you have with your neighbors, and you know, that's a nice thing to see. So.
Thank you. I didn't know about that until I saw the email from Carrie, so I was gratified to see how they all came out in favor. And I think I'm very happy with that. It makes me feel really good. In general, I feel good being a resident of Skokie, where I know that I can go to the village hall and get our needs taken care of in a quick and easy and fair and friendly way. So I'm very grateful for the whole process has been going. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, as I've said before, I think the world of our staff. They're very professional. They know what they're doing, and it's a pleasure to work with them. And I'm glad to see that you had good interaction with them as well. So that's a nice thing to hear. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, the chair will entertain a motion. You there, Sean?
Oh, yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Great. So, Mr. Chairman, I propose the following findings of fact and granting the variation to the petitioner as follows. The owners of the lot described in case number 2020-04Z for the property located at 8550 Hamilton Avenue, Skokie, Cook County, Illinois, that said lot is a plotted lot of record and is abutted by single-family dwellings on the north and south, that a determination is made in which the petitioner's statement is consistent with the majority of the findings of fact as stated in the Village of Skokie zoning chapter. I therefore propose the following variances be granted to the petitioner for giving failure to comply with the requirements of the zoning ordinance of the Village of Skokie as amended to off-street parking and loading requirements. that the petitioner be granted the variance to continue a one off-street parking space rather than provide the minimum 2 required off-street parking spaces when the number of bedrooms increases on the site due to an addition as required by section 118-2012 and 118-2181C of the zoning chapter of the Skokie Village Code in an R2 single-family zoning district, that all other codes and ordinances of the Village of Skokie shall be fully and strictly complied with.
Great, all right, thank you, Sean. We have a motion to approve without conditions. Do we hear a second?
Mr. Chairman.
Wow, that was a real jumble. That's, you know what, I'll give it to Billy Heido. We'll give Billy the second on this one. He was the first one? Oh, okay, so we have confirmation that Billy was indeed the second, so we'll give it to Billy. Okay, so we have a second, so the chair will go ahead and call the roll. Commissioner Salovey?
Aye.
Thank you, David. Commissioner Arden?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Kirkpatrick?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Elaine?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Gersner?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Shaw?
Yes.
All right. Commissioner Heido?
Aye.
All right. Commissioner Perlin?
Yes.
Okay. And the chair will vote aye. Okay, so in the case of 2020-04Z, the petitioner's request has been approved unanimously. Corporation Counsel, what does the petitioner need to know from here on out?
Sure, same thing, we'll be preparing the covenant, running with the land. Should be ready in about 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll notify you when it's ready.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
All
I'll
right,
look
go
out
ahead.
for it.
Thank you, Mr.
I-
Posner.
Mr. Posner, I have a question that's totally off the subject. Are you any relation to Zalman Posner?
That's my great uncle.
Well, he married my wife and I
Wow.
in 1978 in Nashville, Tennessee.
Wow, that's really, really
Yes,
cool.
Tennessee.
Yes, well, that's great.
I knew him very well. He was a wonderful human being.
Indeed, he's an amazing person. Yeah, wow.
Alan, you were married in Music City,
I'll tell all my
USA?
cousins that you said that.
Yes, he was a special human being to my wife, who grew up in Sheriff Israel, and he was wonderful. So,
I really appreciate knowing that. Thank you, and thank you everyone for voting in favor of our variance tonight. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you're
Good luck,
welcome.
Mr. Posner.
Yeah,
Good
you're-
luck.
You're very welcome.
I want
Alan,
to say well times.
yeah. Alan, you were married in Music City, USA?
yes, I was buried at Sheriff Israel in Nashville. My wife was born and raised there and grew up at Sheriff Israel under Rabbi Posner, and she went to Hebrew school and got bat mitzvahed there. In fact, she was one of the first bat mitzvahs that Rabbi Posner did. So,
wow.
yeah,
Small world, huh?
it is. It is.
Yeah, this definitely gets filed under that's a small world after all. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Well,
Okay.
I'm really happy that you have the younger Rabbi Posner in Skokie doing the same kind of work, running Hebrew school, teaching kids for bar and bat mitzvah, raising the next generation right here in Skokie. So that's really cool. There's this really great connection.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Yontif.
Same to you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
All right. Well, that was,
How often do you get this? The hearing's over, no one wants to leave. They're having a good time. How often does that happen? Only with certain kinds of petitioners does that happen.
well, it's always very pleasant to have, interesting circumstances like this pop up. Like I said, it puts a real humanity slant on the thing, and I think it just brings us all a little bit closer together than we were before.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And we're very happy to have you at the 4th of July parade every year because I run that parade also. And Lubavitch Abad, we love your mitzvah tank. So,
Thank you. So as we were waiting for our turn, I told my daughter, "You see Alan Gersner? He's the guy from July 4th."
That's how my phone
Thank
goes.
you. I'm glad you recognize me.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Actually, you know one of his, well,
No, I was wondering if you're related to Tobasara, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
No, my wife was instrumental in and she was at the Holocaust Museum for many years. She just retired. So, so if you were at the old museum on Main Street or the new museum, my wife was the executive director at the old museum, and then she was on the education staff at the new museum up until February of this year when she retired.
Cool. Good for you. Enjoy your retirement and don't be home too much together. It isn't good for retirement.
Right.
You keep your job because
Yes, which is what I'm doing. That's why it was so late today. I was working today. So,
Alan, you're always busy. So, okay, great, thank you so much. Again, nice to have a nice conclusion to that case. That's all we have for tonight, and actually, we will not have a meeting on October 21st, scheduled for lack of cases, I take it. So, so our next meeting will be the first Wednesday in November. If I can ask Brian Augustine, I see on screen there, does it look like we have cases for the first meeting in November that you know of?
Most likely no cases for a first meeting in November.
Ay, caramba, okay. Yeah. How about the second meeting? I see Marlene shaking her head
To
too.
be determined.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, that's, that being said, again, we won't, our next regularly scheduled meeting will not happen on the 21st. Any other business that anybody would like to add? If not, then this meeting of the Village of Skokie Zoning Board of Appeals is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
good night, all.
Yep.
Good night, Dave.